Hey everybody, welcome back. Devin, the OG original Grognard's Corner, Grognard's Table, continuing our playthrough of the Avalon Hills 1983 release Squad Leader card game Up Front. I do want to, before I get into anything, I just do want to say, it is finally fall in Seattle, and I am so freaking glad. I am not a fan of hot weather. I'm just not. I can deal with the hot weather just fine. I grew up in Colorado. I grew up in Denver on the plains. It got hot as hell there. Several years floating around the Pacific. Really, really hot there. I think the hottest the worst I was ever been was Singapore in 91 when it was like 105 degrees and 120% humidity. I can deal with the heat. I don't like it. My roommate always laughs at me when when it starts getting warm out and hot out and I pull the AC out. It's like, yeah, I can deal with the heat. I just don't want to. I've got an AC. Why should I have to suffer through the heat? But anyway, but it's kind of amusing here in Seattle, and I might have mentioned this before. But Seattleites really have, native-born Seattleites have no concept of what heat is. Every year for about 3 weeks, it gets really, really hot. Well, what Seattleites consider really, really hot, above 90 degrees. And usually, first week in August, right around there, this usually happens. And every year, without fail, every Seattleite, oh my God, it's so hot. This is the Pacific Northwest. It's not supposed to get this hot. It's 92 degrees. It's like, listen, you idiots. This happens every year. And you complain every freaking year. And, sometimes it even gets up higher than that. High 90s. Once, usually every couple years, it even spikes, 2 or 3 days up into, low 100 degrees. And just the natural-born Seattleites just absolutely lose their mind. But I don't like the heat, so I'm glad when fall comes around. I just prefer fall as a season. I like the rain. I enjoy the rain. Halloween was my favorite holiday. I just enjoy the fall, and it's fall here, so I'm very happy about that. So, yeah, probably longer dissertation and diatribe. I'm bloviating on that than I should have. A couple things. I did have a couple viewers point out some mistakes that I made. I'm actually surprised I made it, 4 videos without any major mistakes. When I played the Rally All card on both groups, it actually should have been the action of both groups, the assistant squad lead. And there were some other things I messed up with the Rally All card. I was just skimming through it real quick. I didn't want to pause the video to read up on it to get it all down. So, it does not surprise me I messed it up. But it should have been the sole action of both the groups that they played the Rally All card on. And because of that, this group should not have been able to infiltrate because it was the action they did was the rally. And also, as they were infiltrating the German Group A had a movement card on them, which should have shifted the position number check. However, as one viewer pointed out, it really doesn't matter. Even with the column shift, you still would have had only one guy infiltrate out of the 5. It wouldn't have been the guy who actually did make it. I think he mentioned it was the squad leader that would have made it. I'm not going to go back and change things. I mean, had I just done the rally all before I did the infiltration, yeah, I'd have gone back. But since I'm a couple 3 steps beyond that now, I'm not going to worry about going back and retconning that. But just for the sake of completeness and honesty, that if you play a Rally All card, it counts as the action for the groups that the Rally All is played on. And if you're infiltrating into an enemy group that is moving, there's a modifier for that. I don't think there was anything else I wanted to go over. Oh, I was also counting up firepower on Group A, and they were under movement card at the time. But I think I was just doing that more to see if I could generate the firepower to justify keeping the card around. Not worried, and I really wasn't worried about the movement card that had been played on it, which halves your firepower. I'd like to think that I would have caught the movement card and had my firepower had I actually played the card, but yeah, as we know, I'm not a clever man, and I probably would have missed that. Just saying. So anyways, I believe what we left off is that we're going into the Soviets' turn, and the action deck is getting a little bit low. We're almost out of the action deck, and what if I do run out of the action deck, I am going to go ahead and pause it and shuffle, because with those slick sleeves on there, it is a pain in the ass to shuffle. It could take me a good 5 minutes to shuffle it the way to my satisfaction. So I'll cut the video out for that, so you won't have to suffer through me shuffling the action deck and me trying to continue conversation. All right, so let's go ahead and jump in the Soviet turn. And what have we got? We got a bunch of fire cards. We got a conceal card. Okay, we want to keep the conceal card and the fire card. First off, this is the group we really want to concern ourselves with firing. Oh, they're under a movement card. Crap. Crap. I was hoping to have a movement card. I can still fire. It's just at half firepower. Let's see. I could fire from here to here. This is the group. German Group A is really the group I need to work on. So they're range 2, so they're relative range 4. How much firepower can we normally generate? 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Well, halved is 3, 4, 5, 6. All right. Well, since we can generate 6 firepower, let's go ahead and play the fire 3 on the Germans. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and do that. So it's going to be 3 modified. They're technically still on the hill, so it's a 4. No terrain, no movement state modifiers for the defender. So we're looking at a 4. 4 minus 1 is a 3. Morale passes. 4 plus 1 is a 5, which will end up pinning him. And 4 plus 4 is an 8. Oh, crap. That actually kills Private Bernhoff. His K is only an 8. So 4 plus the 4 is an 8, which kills poor Private Bernhoff. Go ahead and put those over there in the dead pile. And that's really bad for the Germans. We'll see here in a little bit why that is so bad for the Germans. All right, so go ahead and discard those. The other thing that was mentioned rules-wise, when I was pulling the building cards, we still use the building cards as a random number creation or position number check. Even though they're discarded, I was just discarding them without using the random numbers for them. But according to the rules, you actually still do use them. So, anyways, why is that bad for the Germans? Well, the Soviets have got a guy already infiltrated. Now, we can try to rush into close combat, and that may not be a bad idea, because technically there's only one German in good order. I was going to hold off doing close combat because there were 3 guys here. One guy going into close combat would have been very bad, because basically he'd have gone against one of the opponents. They'd have compared the close combat values, and then since there weren't anybody else attacking the other two guys would have added in a +3 to the defender's close combat value. It would have been +6 to the defender's close combat value against which would have been bad. But now I've got one guy against one good guy. If I infiltrate, if I go close combat, and you have to draw a random position check to see who your guys actually will go into close combat against. If I get him, it'll be straight up close combat value against each other, because Private Beck is pinned and he doesn't add in his close combat value. If I end up getting a position check for Private Beck, it'll be his close combat value, which is only a 2, versus the Russian close combat value, which is an 8, but the German will get, Private Beck will get +3 because there is an unpinned, unmeleeed guy in that could be involved in the combat. I could do both, maybe? I think it's one or the other. I think it's infiltrate or close combat. Yeah, sole action. Okay, so close combat is the sole action of the group. No, you know what we're going to do? We're going to go ahead and infiltrate. We're going to try to infiltrate more of these guys into... Well, they're just going to try to infiltrate. So if you remember, you have to do a morale check. So, okay, so it's just a straight up number check. No colors, don't mind. 0, he makes it. 4, he makes it. He's already infiltrated. Next guy, 5, he does not. Passes morale test. And 0, he passes his morale test. Okay, so we got 3 guys that are going to attempt, 3 guys who passed the morale test. Now they're going to go ahead and try to manage to get in. As far as I know, at this point, there's no modifiers. I don't think a pin guy in the opposing group is going to prove any modifiers, but there's only 2 guys in the group, so we're going to be looking on the 2 column, and we're going to be looking for red numbers. So the first one, there we go, there's a red number. First guy will infiltrate, second guy will infiltrate, third guy will not. So we got 2 guys that infiltrated, which is actually really good for the Russians. Now, am I going to pull out infiltration markers? No. We're just going to stack these guys top to bottom under an infiltration marker, because I don't feel like trying to dig up multiple infiltration markers from my baggies. Yeah, I think that's going to be it, and I can't discard anything because I did an action. Actually, I did 2 actions, so I can't discard anything. Oh, the other thing that was pointed out to me that I actually had never even thought of before, because it's not specifically laid out in the rules. When I used the Soviet Soul action to discard the wire, it was pointed out to me that you can play as many terrain cards on your opponent as you have discards. So since the Soviets can discard their entire hand, that's actually 4 terrain cards that they can put on their opponent in one discard. Is that ever going to happen? Probably not. But if you can discard up, say you want to discard 2 cards and you've got 2 wire cards in your hand like I did, you can throw both of those out rather than just the one discard that I was, playing the one terrain card as a discard as I was doing, even though the Soviets are allowed more than one discard. I hope that made sense. Let's go ahead and refill the hand. More fire cards. Great. All right. So flip back over to the Germans. What do the Germans got? The Germans got a Rally 4 card. Yeah, I could shoot. Sergeant Diettinger. He's got the MP5 or the MP38. He's got firepower 5 at range 5. He could play this card, which actually isn't too bad because it's a fire 3, but it'll be down 2 for the wall, so it'll be 1. No, I'm not going to worry about that. We are going to play the Rally 4 card here. So that gets them. And what is B group and C group? Let's see, we get a fire 3 and a fire 13. We got a smoke card 2. Oh, nope, that's a coward card. It's a split card. So only the U.S. can use that as a smoke. This is a coward card. So that one's probably going to get discarded. We want to keep the concealment. The fire 13, I don't think... yeah, nobody can use... I don't have the firepower to pull off the fire 13, but I can pull off the fire 3 someplace else. B... 5, 4, range band 4. How much firepower can they generate? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I think I'm going to do that. I think Group B is going to fire Soviet Group A with a firepower 3, or fire strength 3. Not moving, no terrain modifiers on my end. However, the opponent is under a wall, but since it's fired from an adjacent area, it's going to be a -1 instead of a -2. So we got 3, -1 is a 2. And, looks like we will not have enough cards. Okay. I'm going to have to shuffle the deck. I'll be right back. Okay, so we got the deck shuffled. And if you'll notice, we did have the deck marker on 1. Now that we're starting our second time through the deck, we flip it over to the 2. Because remember, that's your turn marker. The game goes through 3 pulls of the deck. Yeah, I also went ahead and pulled out some infiltration markers for the other guys, just because. All right, so we're looking at a 3, we're looking at a 2, And 2 plus 0 is a 2, no effect. 2 minus 1 is a 1, no effect. 2 plus 2 is a 4, that's going to be a pin. 2 minus 1 is a 1. 2 plus 1 is a 3. All right, so we got 2 pins. He's going to be pinned. Now this guy, this infiltrator guy, managed to get pinned. Well, what does that mean? Well, for the most part, he loses his infiltrator status. It just goes away. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. He loses his infiltrator status. Which is good, because the Germans like that there aren't as many bad guys facing off against us. And I really think that's it. The only thing I've got left is Group C, and I don't want to use a conceal marker. Can't use the fire marker. And we're going to discard this coward card. So let's go ahead and get rid of that. Draw 3 cards. We got a concealed marker, which is another coward card. Fire 14 and Woods 2. Not really the cards we were hoping for. Oh well, what are you going to do? Flips back over to the Soviets. All right. We got... You know what? The Soviets are going to start off by playing this Fire 1 card. I think they can generate the 1 firepower from B to Group A. We want to try to pin those Germans again. All right, so we're looking at a Fire Strength 1, +1 for being on the hill, no terrain modifiers for the Germans because they're in open ground. So we're looking at a 2. 2 plus 2 is a 4, which is good, and 2 plus 6 is an 8. Oh, well, that kills off Private Beck, because pretty much everybody's killed in action number is an 8. So lots of withering fire has withered this group down to nothing, and that's not good. That's not good at all. Because now the infiltration comes. Now we're going to try to do close combat. So again, with close combat, you have to make a morale test to see if you go into it, or if you have a movement card, you can play the movement card, but we don't have a movement card to play. The movement card will automatically make you pass the morale test to jump in, but we don't have any, so we're going to go ahead and check. First guy, again, we're just looking for a number. It doesn't matter what the color is. 0 is less than his 4, so he's going to infiltrate. And the second guy is a 2, which is less than his morale of 4, so he infiltrates as well. So we got both guys infiltrating into close combat. Now, what does that mean? Well, let me freshen up on the close combat. Let's see. Merely draws a position random check. Okay, pass the morale check, and he merely draws a random position check and consults the column equaling the number of men in the defending group. Number in that column is the position he attacks in close combat. Place his personnel card on top of the defending personnel card and continue to resolve. Okay, so what does that mean? Well, we've got one guy in the defending group. So yes, according to the way the rules are written, you check the position check, but with one guy in the group, oh, there's an odd number. 1's all the way across. You check the 1 column, because that's the number of guys in the defending group getting close combat, and that's who is going to get, he is going to attack. So if there were 2 guys left in the group still, I draw this card, the first guy would attack the first person in the enemy stack. If there were 3 people in the enemy group, draws this card, the first person, and so on and so forth, yada yada yada. Now I know there's only 1 guy in the stack, or not 1 guy in the stack, there's 1 guy left in the group, but according to the rules you pull it anyways just to cycle cards. So the second guy entering close combat, look at the random position, 1 column, hey, he attacks the first guy in the group. Yeah, it's kind of important if you want to follow those rules sometimes. Now, that means both of those guys are going to be attacking poor Sergeant Diettinger. But what does that mean when there's more than 1 guy? Do I do them individually? Or do I add their close combat values together? place this personnel card to continue to resolve. Okay, yeah, you do all the close combat first before you start pulling to see what happens with the combat. Okay, close combat value. Yes, we have close combat value. Basically, you've got two numbers on the close combat value. The first number is if he has the weapon. You have the, see the close combat value here, 8 and 5. The first value is if he has his weapon. The 5 is if he doesn't have his weapon. So he's got his weapon. So that's your close combat value. Okay, primary attacker / defender may modify his close combat value by +3 for each additional unpinned man attacking, defending with him. 20.71. That's for defender, multi-man crew. Yep, that's my phone in the background. I better get that. Friggin' telemarketers. Can't stand them. All right, so anyways, our first guy is going to be going into close combat with, so Sergeant Rostov is going against Sergeant Diedinger, and the second guy who infiltrated, since he's got nobody to attack, he's going to add +3 to Sergeant Rostov's close combat value. All right, so what does this mean? Again, we're drawing numbers to see what happens. So you take your close combat value for Sergeant Diedinger. In this case, it is an 8. We pulled a black 3, so we add 3 to that value. 8, 9, 10, 11. Cool. Sergeant Rostov has got a 9, but he's got somebody with him, so 9, 10, 11, 12. So Sergeant Rostov's sitting at a 12 right now. Pull a card for him. It's a red 5, so that is going to make it a 6. So it is going to be 11 to 6, and I believe it's a straight-up kill, but I am a little bit confused. Combat resolution. Man with the lower total is killed. Oh, okay. So, Sergeant Rostov is killified, which actually causes some issues, and we'll get into that in a little bit because we lost the squad leader. Now, what does that mean? Continuingly, well, we've got another guy in the group that can close combat, so he is going to close combat as well against Sergeant Diedinger. And so we took a look. Okay, Sergeant Diedinger's combat value, close combat value is an 8. 8 plus 5 is a 13. Wow. And Sergeant, or Private, I'm not even going to try to pronounce that, is a 9. Plus 2 is 11. Okay, again, the Soviet lost. So the Private had a lower close combat value number, so he is killed as well. Wow, that actually really turns things around. Sergeant Diedinger is just a friggin' close combat machine. He managed to kill 2 of the Soviets that were attacking him. Now we got to take a look. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 6. Okay, so the Soviets can really only lose one more guy before they hit their limit. Okay, now we lost the squad leader. Squad leader died. He died in melee. He's dead. So what does that mean? So while the squad leader is dead, the hand capacity of the person of the side who lost their leader is reduced by 1. So Soviets got a hand capacity of 4. It's reduced to 3 for this turn. So they only have 3 cards in their hand. So they are only allowed 3 cards, which means they can't draw back up. That will change in the next round, because of the next round, the advanced squad leader, getting my games confused. The assistant squad leader will take over the position of squad leader, and I don't think there's anything that happens. I don't think there is an assistant squad leader. Maybe I can nominate one, but I'm not going to worry about that right now. Maybe I should, just because we need to know the rules. take a look at the table of the index and glossary. Glossary, not glossary, like galoshes. Squad leader 15.1. 15.1. Okay, command and control. Oh, should a player's squad leader be pinned at the end of his turn or have just been removed by KA or panic result of the same turn, the player may only draw enough cards to restore his number of cards in his hands to one less than normal. So even if the squad leader is pinned, they lose. They get their hand size -1. Okay. If the squad leader is removed, which just happened, the squad's hand capacity would return to its normal for subsequent turns, but 15.2 would then apply for the assistant squad leader. The assistant squad leader, or commissar, is now considered the squad leader. There is no penalty for the ASL being pinned or removed while the squad leader is still in play. Should the squad leader and the assistant squad leader be removed, the reduced card hand becomes a liability for the duration of the scenario. All right, so what does that mean? Lost the squad leader for this turn. I get one less card in my hand. Next turn, the assistant squad leader takes over. If he gets killed, then I'm down -1 card in my hand for the rest of the game. Great. I actually think I remember. I knew there was something going on with losing the assistant squad leader and squad leader. So what does that mean? End of the turn, Soviets got their butts handed to them in hand-to-hand, and they cannot draw up to 4 cards because they lost the squad leader this turn. So that gives the Germans like that. The Germans like that a lot. So what have we got? Basically, we got no movement cards. We got a couple concealment cards. That is one thing. If you have a concealment card, you can actually, as I think it's just as the defender can play a concealment card to modify his opponent's close combat value. So had Sergeant Diedinger played this concealed -2, the Soviet attacker would have been -2 on his close combat value. Didn't make that much of a difference. Ended up winning the combat anyways, but it was something I should have pointed out at the time. So concealment cards can work in close combat as well. Yeah, I know I'm kind of all over the place with my rules. Let's say we got a 13 and a 14. How much firepower can this generate? Let's see if we actually that A is the closer group. And you know what? We only need to kill one more, or pin or rout or panic one more Soviet, and that'll put them above their 50%. I better check that just in case, because I think the Japanese actually go to like 75%, and the Waffen SS go to higher, but I think for just the normal, generic, everyday run-of-the-mill, it's 50%, more than 50% of their starting forces. Or would that be under? Winning the game? No, there is no winning the game. Losing the game? No, there is no losing the game. Yeah, that's the other thing about Avalon Hill indexes. Not the best for a lot of things that you may think you need. All right, I'm going to pause this real quick while I try to find the rule. Okay, yeah, so it's just more than half. So the Soviets started off with 15. They lose 8 guys, and they're at 7 right now. Then they lose. So the Germans are really going to want to push that. So Group B here is going to try to generate the firepower to fire at Group A, and they're at relative range 4. So I've got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And no hero cards either. Crap. Balls. All right, well, that means... Well, can Group C... with the machine gun, generate the firepower at Soviet Group B. So let's see, they're actually at relative range 5. So 9, 10, 11, 12. 12! 1 point. I have a feeling these next few turns are going to be drawn out, as neither side are going to get the cards they need. All right, German discard. The Germans do 1 or 2. Why is it I can never remember that? I think the Americans can do... Yeah, the Americans can do 2 if they don't do anything. Russians can do up to everything if they don't do anything. Germans can always discard 1 regardless if they do something or not. So we're going to go ahead and get rid of the split card, which is actually a cower card for us. Rally all. We don't need a rally all. Okay, Soviets. Now, ASL, the assistant squad leader, is now the squad leader. And what have they got? They got a concealed... They got some big fire cards, but they're under a movement, so they're not going to be able to generate. I was hoping to get a terrain card to get these guys into position, but that doesn't look like that's going to happen. So if they want to fire, Group C is at relative range 5. These are at relative range 3. Those guys are at relative range 4. So let's see how much firepower we can generate, because we can get rid of this guy, and that'll open up and be smooth sailing for us. So let's see, it's relative range 4. So we got 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 10. So we got 13 potential firepower, which is nothing. So let's see, how much potential firepower do we have over? And I'm saying potential because, yes, I know they're under a movement card, but this will help me to decide if I wait to try to get a terrain card or jump them into open ground at this point. So they're relative range 5. That's going to be 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. 17. All right. You know what? We're going to use this. We're going to play this as an open ground. To get rid of the movement and the terrain card, mainly to get rid of that movement card so my firepower is not halved. So next turn I can generate that 17 fire at German group C over here. Hopefully that'll do something. Yeah, all right, fine. I guess since I'm supposed to, I'll leave that card out there as open ground card. So refill our hand. We get back up to 4 cards. Yeah, we got a movement and we got another concealment card. And technically a second movement card, because the split card is a concealment for the Soviets and it's a movement for the Soviets. All right, what have the Germans got? Oh, that's right. We got Jack. Well, let's go ahead and discard this card. Firepower 14, because we're not going to be... Yeah, we're not going to be getting to that anytime soon. Draw a card. Movement card. Okay, we can live with that. All right, back over to the Soviets. All right, so the Soviets are going to go ahead and pull the 17 firepower. Let's make sure I can actually generate that 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Yep, so 17 firepower. So they're going to generate firepower 6, or fire strength 6. Minus 2 for the woods is 4. But you know what? The Germans are going to go ahead and play a concealment card. So they're going to bring that down to a 2. So the fire strength is going to be a 2. 2 minus 3 is a -1. 2 minus 1 is a 1, which is good for his morale. And 2 minus 6. Actually, red 6, well, that would be a possible jam weapon. But since I started off the game not worrying about jamming weapons, I'm not going to worry. I'm not going to start the rule halfway through the game. And really, again, you only worry about jammed weapons when you draw a red 6 or a red 5, because there are some weapons that have red 5, like the Soviet DP-28 actually has a breakdown number. You can see the breakdown number, red 5 and 6. So that fire did absolutely jack all. We don't have any rally cards. We're not going to move those guys. And we got nothing else to do, so draw back up. Fire 6. Okay, well, Soviets are going to be pouring out some more firepower. What do the Germans do? You know, I really need to get Group B up one more rank so I can do some lateral transfer of guys. Because Group A still kind of is in. If the Soviets get a rally card. Now, I'm doing this without the knowledge that I know the Soviets has got a big fire card. Looking at what I have, what I want to do, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and play the movement card on B Group, which is going to increase them to range band 2. Where's my 3 4s? Or, yeah, my 2 3s. Sixes, fours. Oh, there we go. 2 threes. So there we go. Range band 2. All right. So, Soviet turn. You know, Germans just kind of stuck their necks out by moving that unit forward. So we're going to go ahead and take Group B and fire at Group B. Let's see, we're range 4. Let's see if we can generate the fire. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Ooh, we cannot generate the firepower against these guys. We are not quite there yet. So we're going to have to go ahead and unleash it on Group C, because we do know we have the firepower. We got 17 firepower, so we know we can generate the 15 that's needed. 6. Oops, Germans forgot to refill their hand. Ooh, sniper card, sniper card. Rally 3 card. Sniper card's handy, but all right. Firepower 6, -2 for the woods. Nobody's moving. It's 4. Germans don't have a concealment card, so this one's probably going to hurt a little bit more. So we got 4 -0 is a 4, which is going to pin him. 4 + 0 is a 4, which is going to pin him. 4 -3 is a 1, which is going to be a 1, which isn't going to do. Okay, now, Private Schussel with the MG34 doesn't have a loader anymore. Well, he does. He's just pinned. That means he will now use the bracketed number for his firepower rather than the unbracketed number. Even though technically his crew member is still there, he's pinned, unable to actually be the loader, so that will reduce his firepower just as if he was there by himself. And I think, because we're probably close to hitting the 45-minute mark at this point, I think we're going to go ahead and call it here. Call this one good. And questions, comments, concerns, complaints, criticisms in the comment section. I'll see everybody next time. See ya!